Hello, dear viewers, and welcome once again to the channel where we lift the velvet curtain of history to uncover the fascinating dramas unfolding within the world's most renowned royal households. Today, we step into a turbulent chapter for the British monarchy, an episode that proves that even the oldest and most venerated institutions are not immune to power struggles and high-stakes negotiations. Our focus turns to a moment of extraordinary tension, a crucial turning point when the stability of the crown itself seemed to hang by a thread, compelling the two most senior figures, King Charles III and his heir, Prince William, to exchange what insiders have described as remarkably pointed words concerning the fate of a deeply troubled family member, Prince Andrew, the Duke of York. This was far more than a simple family discussion. It was a pivotal meeting of minds that culminated in a momentous decision aimed at protecting the monarchy from further reputational harm. Before we analyze the intensity of this exchange and examine expert insights into the confrontation, please take a moment to show your support for our in-depth royal coverage. Kindly like this video, subscribe to our channel, and ring the notification bell so you never miss our detailed royal explorations. Your engagement allows us to continue bringing these important stories to light. For years, the saga of Prince Andrew has cast a long, dark shadow over Buckingham Palace, a continuous source of scandal threatening to erode public confidence in the very institution King Charles has vowed to safeguard. For those who have followed the developments closely, the roots of this crisis trace back to the Duke of York's infamous and heavily criticized association with the late convicted sex offender, Jeffrey Epstein. The monarchy, often referred to simply as the firm, exists for one principal purpose: survival and continuity. Yet, the repeated controversies surrounding Prince Andrew consistently weakened this mission. The pressure reached its peak after renewed media scrutiny of the Epstein affair, particularly when a newly uncovered email controversy resurfaced damaging information, reigniting public outrage. The overwhelming wave of negative coverage and the relentless questions directed at the palace rendered the situation impossible to maintain. Then, on a crucial date, October 17th, loyal supporters of the British royal family finally allowed themselves a cautious sigh of relief. That day, the inevitable became official. Prince Andrew announced that, following extensive and heartfelt discussions with his family, and most importantly, in the interest of preserving the monarchy as a whole, he would relinquish all remaining titles. This marked the final, painful severance of his formal ties to public life under the crown. It was a step long expected by observers who recognized the gravity of the scandal. Yet the official confirmation still carried immense significance. Buckingham Palace's formal statement sought to strike a careful balance between concession and defense. The Duke of York, father to Princess Beatrice and Princess Eugenie, firmly reiterated his denial of the serious allegations made against him. This firm stance was central to shaping the narrative. He was not confessing guilt, but rather presenting himself as a man making a sacrifice for the greater good of the monarchy. He explained that after consulting with King Charles and other senior members of the firm, the inner circle guiding the monarchy's daily functions and strategic direction, he had chosen to step back voluntarily. The declared intention behind this move was noble: to ensure that the valuable and essential work of His Majesty's government and the royal family could continue to thrive, free from the constant distractions and shadows cast by his personal legal and reputational challenges. But let us pause for a moment to examine the language used in that statement, for within its carefully crafted phrasing lies unmistakable evidence of the intense internal negotiations that preceded the announcement. Royal commentator Jenny Bond, a seasoned expert on the workings of the palace, quickly identified one particularly revealing detail: Prince Andrew's deliberate use of the collective pronoun. Speaking with Sky News shortly after the statement was made public, Miss Bond shared her immediate reaction, highlighting the significant weight carried by that single, seemingly simple word. She remarked, and I quote from her analysis, "I'm struck by the use of the pronoun we, the king, my family, and my immediate family. We have concluded that the ongoing accusations against me are a distraction from His Majesty's work." This was not a solitary decision. It was not a case of the Duke of York simply waking one morning and deciding, on impulse, to withdraw from public life. The inclusion of "we" signified something far deeper: a collective, and likely compulsory resolution, Miss Bond further noted that Prince Andrew repeated "we" later in his statement, reinforcing that this was not a personal choice but a unified institutional decree. To the expert, this linguistic nuance provided clear and undeniable evidence that immense, prolonged, and perhaps deeply painful pressure had been placed upon the Duke. In essence, he was being compelled, in the most diplomatic terms possible, to perform what the establishment deemed the honorable act, to fall on his sword. The expression "to fall on one's sword" is, of course, an ancient and dramatic metaphor for taking responsibility and making a necessary sacrifice to shield others from disgrace or damage. Within a royal institution so obsessed with continuity and reputation, this sacrifice meant surrendering his remaining roles and titles to remove the taint of scandal from the monarchy. Jenny Bond's interpretation was blunt and unflinching. If he hadn't fallen on that sword, she asserted, he would have been pushed firmly onto it. This assessment paints a vivid picture of a palace environment, where Prince Andrew's options had completely vanished. His compliance was not requested, it was demanded, in the name of the monarchy's preservation. Now, let us turn our attention to the intense private discussions that preceded the official announcement, the high-stakes deliberations between the two most powerful men in the kingdom, King Charles III and his son, Prince William, the Prince of Wales. Sources suggest that the pressure placed upon Prince Andrew stemmed directly from a sharp and tense exchange between the monarch and his heir. Reports of pointed words between King Charles and Prince William indicate a strained, perhaps even confrontational, conversation behind the palace's imposing closed doors. But why would the king and the Prince of Wales exchange such heated words if they ultimately desired the same outcome? Andrew's removal from public duties. The answer lies in the differences between their temperaments and strategic approaches. King Charles, having waited for decades to ascend the throne, remains deeply conscious of his late mother's legacy and the importance of stability. He favors caution, measured diplomacy, and institutional procedure. Moreover, he is painfully aware of the emotional weight of banishing a sibling, however disgraced. Prince William, by contrast, represents the monarchy's future. He advocates for a more modern, efficient, and morally transparent royal family. Known for his intolerance of scandals that could endanger the institution's long-term credibility, William reportedly favored swift and decisive action. To him, Andrew's removal was a matter of urgency, a surgical strike to preserve the crown's integrity without allowing sentimentality to interfere. Thus, the pointed words between father and son likely revolved around the timing, the severity, and the public presentation of Andrew's withdrawal. King Charles may have preferred a slower, more diplomatic retreat that respected familial bonds, while Prince William, ever pragmatic and forward-looking, likely insisted on an immediate and unequivocal break to cleanse the monarchy's image and reassure a skeptical public. The fact that the decision was ultimately carried out, and that Prince Andrew deliberately used the collective "we" to signal a unanimous family conclusion, confirms that Prince William's stance, emphasizing swift and decisive action, either prevailed outright or heavily influenced the final ultimatum presented to the Duke of York. Picture the moment. The king, weary yet resolute, facing his heir, steadfast and fixed on the future. Their discussion would have been charged with the full weight of royal history and the immense responsibility of preserving the crown's future. When two figures of such influence and contrasting temperaments meet to determine an issue of institutional survival, their words are anything but casual. They are measured, sharp, and deliberate, intended to bring about an unavoidable but necessary outcome. The result of this high-level confrontation was the removal of the last remnants of Prince Andrew's official royal identity. Although he continues to hold the courtesy title of Duke of York, the titles he relinquished were those tied to his public duties, his remaining patronages, and his capacity to represent the crown in any official form. This action marked the final stage of his effective exile from the core working monarchy, a process set in motion since the first public disclosures of the Epstein scandal. For the institution, this internal clash and its resolution highlighted a crucial truth: the monarchy possesses the ability to correct itself, even when that correction demands personal sacrifice and emotional rupture within the royal family. King Charles and Prince William showed, through their resolve, that their ultimate loyalty lies not with individual family members, but with the crown itself. The pressure they applied, which Jenny Bond so perceptively identified through her linguistic analysis of the pronoun, we reflected a form of institutional ruthlessness, the calculated detachment required to safeguard the monarchy's stability for generations to come. This episode stands as a powerful reminder that the weight of kingship in the modern era is defined by the necessity of hard choices. The King and the Prince of Wales were compelled to choose between personal loyalty and the preservation of institutional integrity. Their pointed words and united front ultimately marked the beginning of a new phase of leadership within the firm, one guided by stricter moral standards and minimal tolerance for personal scandal that threatens to overshadow the monarchy's legitimate public role. Prince Andrew's own words in his statement, emphasizing the need to allow the good work to continue, underscored the success of Charles and William's strategy. They had effectively placed him in a position where stepping aside appeared not as a punishment, but as the only dignified course remaining, thus removing a persistent distraction and restoring focus to His Majesty's duties. The sense of relief felt by royal observers on October 17th was unmistakable, as this decision, the product of intense and private negotiation, finally brought closure to one of the most damaging public crises faced by the modern monarchy. It cemented King Charles III's reputation as a monarch capable of making difficult but necessary decisions in defense of his reign, and strengthened Prince William's image as a determined, forward-looking Prince of Wales, a guardian of the institution's future. This episode offers much to ponder about the true dynamics of power within the royal household, and the critical importance of unity between the sovereign and his heir when confronting threats to the monarchy's reputation. While the public chapter of Prince Andrew's story has drawn to a close, the memory of those pointed exchanges between father and son will endure, a lasting testament to the extraordinary pressures inherent in sustaining a modern monarchy. What do you think of this remarkable internal reckoning? Do you believe King Charles and Prince William managed this delicate crisis in the right way? Do you share Jenny Bond's view that Prince Andrew was ultimately pushed onto his sword by the combined authority of the King and the Prince of Wales? We would love to hear your thoughts and perspectives on this intricate royal saga. Please share your opinions in the comments below. Thank you for joining us for this in-depth exploration of the high-stakes decisions unfolding within Buckingham Palace. Remember to like this video, subscribe to our channel for more comprehensive royal analyses, and join us again next time as we continue our journey through the captivating world of monarchy. Thank you for watching.